Hey everyone, it's a new season and that means we need some new money makers. I thought the best thing to do, since it's still early into the season and it seems like a lot of people are struggling to make some income, that we should go over some of the easier ways of making money this season that require either very little or no efforts and can make you a decent starting income, but nothing too extravagant. Today we're going to go over a few of them and what you would need to do for them. Let's get started. So the first method we're going to go over today is harvest. This season, harvest was reworked to, instead of giving crafts at the end of each plot, instead it now gives life force. And this life force can be used in the quarter crafting station for all the things previously obtainable through harvest. This has caused an economy where people are going and farming harvest for life force and then selling it to people who want to use it. Because of a strategy that has recently become popular, the prices of life force has also skyrocketed, which has made this only more profitable. In terms of what we want to do for our tree is we want to pick up all of the harvest nodes, particularly Heart of the Grove, and then Bumper Crop and Bountiful Harvest. We are going to be putting a guaranteed harvest sextant on all of our maps. So that means we don't need to pick up Call of the Grove. And then the rest of the tree can be whatever you want. This method is really nice since you can add it onto whatever you're currently doing for about 15 points or so and just use it as an extra boost of money per map. For sextants, we are simply going to be using a maps contain Sacred Grove, and a life force is duplicated. There are 3 versions of this compass, one for blue, purple, and yellow plants. They are all worth about the same amounts, with the yellow one being worth around 30C, but our total cost per map will be somewhere around 20 chaos between the 2 compasses. In terms of what you want to do with your map, you can simply just elk and go it or do it exactly how you're doing before. But one thing to take into consideration potentially would be to pick up Shaping the Valleys and running Fortune Favors the Brave, as both quantity and pack size scale the amount of harvest monsters you get and the amount of life force that you get at the end. All you are doing inside the harvest is you are going up to the plots and you are going to pick whichever plot you want to do and kill it. There is a order that you want to follow in terms of color to make the most amount of money. Currently, yellow is worth the most by a decent amount, then purple, then blue as by far the cheapest. The monsters that you see above each plot will have different colored names. Some will have a very faint gray name, some will have about a whitish name, and then some monsters will have a light blue name. The color of their name will determine the rarity of them, which also determines how much life force they give and how often they will give life force. And generally, you want to pick the plot that has the most blue named monsters, as those almost always guarantee life force and should give you a few hundred every time. With that in mind, you also want to pick based on color. So obviously, if you had a yellow plot with blue named monsters, you would want to pick that over a blue or a purple plot. But for example, if you had a yellow plot with no blue named monsters, but had a purple plot that did have blue named monsters, you would still pick the purple plot since that will give you more essence overall, which should be worth more chaos from the given plot. Keep in mind that the life force prices are very subjective to change based on what is currently popular. So I would look into the prices of all the life force and make a decision based off of that at any given point in the season. I did a quick 4 maps to test this myself, and this is the essence that I was able to gather in those 4 maps, obviously trying to prioritize yellow plots over anything else. The total cost to run those 4 maps was about 110C. And if we look at the total price of all the life force that I gathered 170C worth of life force, which means in 4 maps, I made a free 60 chaos. This doesn't sound too much on its own, but that's why this is good to add with other things. So for example, if you're farming heist contracts, or if you're farming Ickers or invitations or any other of the current popular methods, and you have open sextant slots, this just gives you a free 20 to 30 chaos profit per map. Next up, we have more of an AFK method of making money. What we are going to be doing is blighted maps. Now, blighted maps, that might be the most interesting of content, but it is very decent and consistent profits for almost no effort. All we're going to be doing is we're going to be buying tier 14 or higher blighted maps. This is because the higher the tier of the map, the more of a chance for us to get golden and silver oil, which is going to give us quite a very large bump in profits. And we are simply going to anoint the maps with 3 crimson oils. This is going to give us 30 lucky chests per map, which means that if a chest is lucky, it will re-roll the loot twice and give you the better outcome. So if a chest were to roll armor, but it was lucky, it will re-roll itself and it could potentially re-roll into a currency chest instead. This will massively increase your profits. One option as well is to possibly add 1 or 2 teal oils. These will speed up the rate at which the blight monsters spawn, which will make it faster, but also make it a bit more difficult to deal with. So use your own discretion and find a nice medium for you that works the best. The last thing to mention is every single blighted map you run should be corrupted. That sometimes means you'll brick some of them and you can just sell them back to other people. But you should always corrupt, as a blighted map that is ran corrupted has a chance to give you tainted oils, and tainted oils are worth quite a lot of money and can give you quite a lot of extra passive income on top of what you're already doing. One more thing to mention is you can take epidemiology. This will increase the modifiers on your blighted maps. That means you will get more lucky chests, but that also means the map will be harder, which is fine since blighted maps scale off of quantity. You can also take distilled fungus, which will give you anointed jewelry and oil extractors. There is a filter blade filter that will specifically filter rings and only show you the ones that have either silver or golden oils as a portion of the anoint. And then what you could do is you could use the oil extractor for a 50% chance to get the gilded or silver oil back, which can give you a bit of extra profit. If you are having issues dealing with the blights, you can simply anoint your rings. I personally like using scout towers. Scout towers, after you get about 5 or 6 of them, make it really simple to almost AFK the blights. They can take care of everything on their own. And if you anoint both of your rings with increased scout tower damage, they will do 50% more damage and it'll be extremely AFK. The beginning of each blights will be a bit difficult, but all you really want to do is go out and kill as many monsters as you can to get as many points as possible to quickly build up more scout towers. You only realistically need to put down 3 or 4 per clump of lanes, and they should be able to kill everything else. And after a minute or two, all you really will have to do is just sit by the pump, look pretty, and kill any bosses that are getting close. One thing to mention about blights is there's quite a lot of passive chaos damage that's happening, so you might want to run the Pantheon for Arakali and the sub-Pantheon for Shikari to get a bit of poison damage reduction and chaos damage over time if you don't have a lot of chaos resistance. The scariest thing in blights is the poison spider boss. It will shoot out a giant cone of poison and it will kill you very quickly if you're not aware of it. Outside of that, there's a giant minotaur boss that will charge you and it can one-shot you if you don't have a lot of armor. Outside of that, it's pretty AFK and you really don't have to do much. Once the blight's over, you just simply go around and loot all the chests and you have a pretty high chance of finding either golden or silver oils. And you also get quite a lot of passive loots as well, including essences and just raw currency. And you'll on average make about 2 to 3 times the amount that you put into each map. This isn't the highest moneymaker per hour, but you can expect anywhere between 2 to 4 divines, depending on how lucky you get and depending on how many teal oils you can run to go through blights faster. While it's not the most money, it's certainly very AFK, and it's a very nice way of making money if you want to, for example, watch a stream or watch some Netflix on the side. The last of the interesting things that we could do in maps currently for quite a bit of money is one of the nodes that was reworked this season, the Labyrinth node. This node has Trial of Glory, which gives your Labyrinth trials a 20% chance to award an improved offering of the goddess, and then all the nodes leading up to it give you an increased chance to have a trial in your map. These improved offering of the goddesses are wanted by lab runners. There are 3 different versions of them. 2 of them are currently 20C each, and one of them is almost 1.5 divines per. This is a very nice way to earn an extra passive income, and all it takes is 4 points. Most people are pathing in this area of the tree anyway, and for 4 points, giving you a chance at making 1 divine is, I think, wonderful. Nice thing is when you do encounter a trial in your maps, it will specifically say if it gives you a normal trial or a improved offering, and the portal will be all yellow and glowy as well. So that means you don't have to go and check every single trial to see if you're going to make extra money. The game will specifically tell you, hey, come do this trial, you'll make extra money. And at worst, you get 20C, and at best, you make a divine for doing it. And it's just a 1 in 3 chance at the offering that's worth a divine. I think for 4 points, this is absolutely excellent. And I'm going to be taking this in every single one of my passive trees from now on, just for the passive income that it provides. Lastly, let's talk about, honestly, one of the most crucial ways of making money in this game that most people don't really realize how important it is to the economy. And that is Sextant Rerolling. This is something that you can very easily do in your hideouts, and it just needs a few hundred chaos or maybe even a few divines to start with, and you could very easily make a lot of money without ever actually leaving your hideout or killing anything. All this is going to take is a bunch of awakened sextants and you having 4 void stones. If you need to get your void stones and you haven't done them yet, you can simply find carries on TFT, and it probably costs around 150 chaos or so to get a carry for all 4 void stones. The other thing that you're going to need on your Atlas tree is Enduring Influence. This is going to turn your compasses from 3-use ones into 4-use ones, and the 4-use compasses are really the only thing that sell. Most people don't want to bother buying the 3-use ones. Make sure you don't forget this, otherwise you're not going to make any money really. All we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking our sextants and we are going to be spamming them on 1 void stone with some blocking, and then using Surveyor's Compass to store any of the interesting sextants that appear. To start this off, all you're going to have to do is you're going to have to roll on your void stones until you get some very specific modifiers. So what we're looking for is increased chaos damage, increased physical damage, and any of the shrine effects. The reason we want this is these are the most common ones, and if we have our 3 void stones with these on them, this blocks quite a few of the possible sextant modifiers. It's going to give us higher chances of finding the things that we want. After that, we're simply going to take our Awakened Sextants and be rolling on the void stone that we haven't put anything on. It's going to take a little bit for you to learn what to keep and what not to keep, but as soon as you find something good, all you're going to have to do is simply just use your Surveyor's Compass on it and store it up. Right there, we just used a 2 chaos compass and we got emblems and splinters are duplicated. If we price check this, we can see that this is worth anywhere between 10 to 15 chaos, but you can very easily sell this for 15 chaos and sell them more in bulk. All this is going to be is just simply mass buying sextants and just consistently doing this. You will learn very quickly what is worth something and what isn't. Right there, we got Shaper Guardian. This is worth another 40 chaos. So just like that, in a simple explanation, I have made 70 chaos just from those 2 compasses. And with some time, you can do this pretty quickly. You can learn what is worth something, what isn't. And this can be anywhere up to 5, 6, even 7 divines an hour, depending on how fast you can go and how many sextants that you can buy from other people. It's not something very glamorous. And it's something quite boring for a lot of people. But if you need some way of making money, if your build isn't working, if it's currently bricked, but you have some money, but you can't really do anything, this is a very easy way of making money, be able to do whatever you'd like. If we look, we did get kind of lucky here. I did get a Shayula, which is another 30C, and we did get Runic, which is another 70C. So in the past minute or so, I was able to make a divine. Now, you're obviously not going to always get this lucky, but this is about what it looks like on average. And then once you have all your compasses, you're simply going to just put them in a public tab and just sell them. This is the parts that a lot of people don't like about this, is simply having to sell so many compasses. So if that's something you don't like, if you don't like having to do a lot of sales, and that might be a turnoff for you on this, but if you don't mind, you can make a stupid amount of money. One thing I will say is don't go out and buy sextants from people, have them come to you. What you can do is you can simply take a chaos orb or simply make your currency tab public, and you can just simply put this in a public tab and then price your chaos orb for Awakened Sextants. One very easy way of doing this is simply pricing it 1 to 2. And now simply everyone will come to you and try to buy your 2 chaos orb for 1 sextant. You're obviously going to have to play around with the prices, but as long as your currency tab is set to public, people will be able to see however many chaos orbs you have, and they'll simply just whisper you for it. You don't want to overpay. I would say staying under 2 chaos is definitely ideal to make the most money, but you can very easily be swamped by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people trying to sell you Awakened Sextants over and over again. At the start of the season, I was doing this quite a bit for money, and while doing so, I would have a few hundred Awakened Sextants, and then people will keep trying to message me for them as I was trying to use them. You can very easily get more than you could possibly use and never have to go out and buy them. You just simply have to sit in your hideout and sell your stored compasses. As an example, simply like 20 seconds after stopping the recording, here's one person who already wants to give me 15 sextants. He's, depending on your offer, will be very, very spammy. That's about it. I hope some of these methods can help you guys. I tried to include a method for every type of player. Someone who wants something active, someone wants something AFK, something for someone who wants to be in their hideout all day, and then something that you can add just to make a little bit of money based on whatever you're doing. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm also streaming on Twitch every day. You can feel free to come by and ask them there. Outside of that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.